I'm embellishing my soft covered journal. Hello and welcome to the Treasured Page. I'm Melanie and this is our quiet crafting space. I thought I'd bring you along for the ride and just let you see how I'm putting this journal together, and every time I pick it up I find more things to add to it, so it's a slow process. So we started the project in March along with some wonderful groups of ladies all around the world, and we are building a journal. We're building a journal using scraps and things that we find. So a lot of you are doing this independently and not swapping with anybody else. You're finding your little bits and pieces, all the special things, all the treasured items that you've got squirreled away, and you are having a look at how you can combine them into a journal and just keep some of the clutter in check, because we all have it. It comes through our door, we just get given things, and then it can become really overwhelming. Well, building a soft cover such as this is out of an old book. This was like a children's colouring book which has been folded in, but everything that I've got here has been sent to me or given to me, so I'm sorry if that's glaring. I'm going to cover that up in a minute anyway. So that's not staying, that's just to add strength. But what I was sent here from Shirley was really interesting because it is from the Salvador Dali Museum. So we've got a little image there of the statues from Salvador Dali, and yeah, there we go. Just interesting while we're crafting the construction of this soft cover. It's very flexible. I've pulled it in, so these portions are going to become the pockets, and this is the back. I'm just offering things up as I go. Really like the salvage edges, so I'm just going to have that bit off of there. Cut that bit off, and then this becomes a nice tab for something, so we keep all the somethings and then they become the special bits later on. I'll wiggle that into place and I'm just going to glue that down. This is a craft along, just a little chat and a catch up, say hello, just so that you can see what I'm up to for the Build a Journal project, which has been going on for quite some time now. And then I'm going to glue on this, and then I'm going to start constructing the inside of my soft cover and on the back as well. So if you are involved in receiving things from others, if you have got a swap circle or a friend that you could exchange items with, swap supplies, or even if you like going around the thrift shops, the charity shops, the car boot sales, if you like trawling through eBay listings and things like that, and you find lots of little things, well, you can very quickly gather a lot of stuff. It is part of what we find as junk journalists can be in places overwhelming with all the stuff. Maybe you're a crafter that has just had years and years and years of collecting, and you've got lots of little bits all tucked away. Well, if you're anything like me, then that can become a challenge to store sometimes, and you don't know what you've got because you've forgotten. And if you're like me, you will know you've got it, but you can't think where it is. And when you start going through some of the things, you find lots of little bits that you think, oh, yes, I was going to use that, but I didn't because I couldn't find it at the time. And then you want to use it and you get excited about it, and we call that shopping your own supplies, because you know you've got it somewhere. You've only just got to go through that drawer, or you've got to go through that cupboard, and maybe some of it is stuffed full. I really like this. This is fun. So I've added all the buttons here that I've been sent. Not all the buttons. I've been sent lots of buttons. I've got these as well. But I'm picking out the ones that I liked for this project. I'm also going to add this upholstery fabric here, this Hessian burlap fabric. I want that to wrap round, so this is going to be stuck down ultimately. I'm going to hide my binding because my binding could be in different colour threads. I'm just using what I've got to bind everything in, but I will be able to glue some of it down just so that I can sew. I need to sew and get this under the sewing machine, so that's what I'm trying to do before I bind anything in. And we're just going to glue it on because I will be sewing it on as well when this is dry. I don't want to gunge up my needle or my machine, but we'll just glue that down. There we go. I'm going to leave that free so that I can sew in my binding, and then I'll be able to pull that round. So I'm just going to add some glue down my edge here. I can come back and do a better job of it in a minute, but I just want to tack it down and have a nice overhang there. Okay. I'm just going to add my card here from Shirley in Scotland, really pretty, and it's got thank you on the back, which is really sweet. So I'm just going to add that in because it was just such a lovely little card she sent me. I'm going to sew all the way around and trap all of this in. Okay, a brilliant scrap for something inside the journal. Here we are, back from the machine. I've done my usual thing of forgetting to ink round the edge. I think that would have been nice. I'm just going to see if I can put in some now. And just age that bit, blending it in with the background a little bit more, just to take away that stark white. Not that it's a problem, it's just I think it would just age it a little bit. Right, just aging this up. Let's just age the whole thing up a little bit. That was just with a bit of forest moss. Okay, now I want to hide the inner workings of this journal so that we don't see the stitching and the tape which I've put over to protect my button. This is what I've got. I've got a napkin. Because I'm not wanting to use anything stronger, because I'm using that for the pages in my journal. So we're having to get creative now with the very limited supplies that I have, as I'm attempting to build 2 journals with the things that I've been given. What I'm going to do is, I like this to a point. I mean, it's fine. It's a decorative colour. Okay, now on the front I might be putting a belly band so that I can put my writing board from Shirley in there. So that's just another idea that could come and live there. And I like it because we've got the bees, we've got the sunflowers. That hopefully will tie in further down the line. But we've got to get creative now, because we've got to make this tissue paper into something stronger. And I've separated it all. It had 3 layers. So we're going to take the first layer, right. So what I'm using is just PVA glue, it's just a clear glue, and I'm just putting that all over the top of my inside cover like a paste, all the way over everything. This is layer number 1 going down here. This is actually a nice way of reducing the shine, and we might even prefer this now and not even worry about the top. We'll just have a look. Maybe. We don't want to be using supplies if we don't have to. Just got to get it to look how we want it. This middle section doesn't matter because I've got a strip of fabric to hide that. I'm pulling this away because it's not big enough to turn over. I mean, I could do, well, why don't I? Okay, we'll just put that on. I'm just wanting to build up strength for the project now. That's the focus. I'm going to keep putting another layer on until I use up the white tissue paper, and then I will put on my top cover. This is the glue that I'm using for anybody in the UK. It comes from the Works. I've bought it in a litre, and it was £4 last year. I don't know what it is this year, but I did stock up, and it's very useful. I'm adding in the middle layer now. I've gone the other way with it so that I come up here as well into my pockets. I'll just let that glue soak in. add that last bit into the middle. I'm going to leave this to dry now while I go and have some lunch, and then I'll put the top coat on afterwards when I've got a firm surface. Okay, this is dried off a little bit more now, so I'm going again with another coat, but what I'm doing is I'm pouring it on directly, and I'm going to smear it out with my brush. I just think that might be a slightly easier way of doing things. And then we just keep the glue moving, trying not to drag anything underneath, although that has dried to touch dry on the surface. It's still a little bit soggy underneath and within the layers, but that will be fine. It'll just dry overnight later. I just want to get to the point where I can see that I'm happy with this inside piece and that I've built up enough layers to create a thickness here, really from not a lot, just one napkin. Okay, just trying to make the supplies go further. So what I'm doing is I'm going to go up to the top there with this piece, because I should be able to peel back some of it, and then I just want to make sure that it goes into the crease there as well. I'm possibly not going to like it because of the colour contrast, and what I might want to do is tone it down if it becomes really bright, and what I will do is use this sewing paper, because that is also really strong and it should mute that down, but you'll get the sense of the flowers behind. I can put my ruler on here and be able to just release that. So just gently does this bit. We don't want to rip and scuff it up and make too much of a bump, but it doesn't matter if that does happen. Sewing pattern paper has a nice strength to it, like an onion paper. I may now not even have to have my fabric stripped, because that's all come together and I really like that. I like to be able to see that sewing pattern. So that has worked out, guys. Really pleased with this. Okay, so I'm about to sew in my third signature, and I'm coming to the middle of this one. This is the first signature that I put together, and this is the first project that we were set back in March. So I'm going to open this up, because this was a lovely pocket to be sewn in the centre to hide the binding. And what I'm going to do is put my guide of where I want my holes inside here. I've just secured it in place with a paper clip, and now I'm going to bend my signature forwards, and then I can push my holes through using my guide here. So just bend the signature pages towards me, pushing that through like an organ stop or a pinball machine. Just push it through. You get it right on the crease of where you want it usually. Sometimes it's a bit wonky, but just make sure you keep your guide straight and roughly get those holes where you want them. And we are ready to bind in the next one. I'm using the very last bit of this thread. I'm not sure how much I'm going to have, but I won't have any to dangle down, which is fine because we're hiding the binding anyway. So 5-hole pamphlet stitch can be a little bit more tricky, but worth it when you've got smaller pages to factor in. I'm just putting a clip on the end so that that doesn't come out through the hole, and we just pull that through. Then I want to go over and come out the second hole, put it through, and often I find it's easier to just guide it in. So we've come in through the middle hole, we're going out through the second hole. Now I'm going out through my first hole down here, or last hole, depending how you look at it, all the way through so we can get it out here. Mind that. Come back up. Keep things nice and taut. This is the trickier bit because we've got to go down the same hole that we've already been. So we go in but at a slight angle to try and avoid the thread. Check that we're coming through. That's fine. That appears to have cleared that thread, which is great. And then with this bit, just keep our tail free. I just want enough to be able to tie a knot. And then this one comes right the way over the top, and then we work on these two holes over here. So over the top of that one and out the next one. Bend this forwards and then out we come. And then we're going up this one. There we go. And now I have to go back out this one, and then I come back to the middle again, and then that's how that works. And then through the middle. And that's it. And then I just want to make sure that I've got my threads either side of the central thread, and then I can lose that. Okay, so I've just checked that the strings are all in securely. The signature isn't wiggling too much. I'm putting in 2 knots here, and we don't need those strings, so we'll keep them just in case we want a bit of string for anything else. So take those away, and then I'm just going to smooth those down and add some glue in there. Smooth that out and just keep those strings out of the way of anything that I want to slide in this pocket, using a nice strong glue. And this was a lovely pocket from Marie, comes all the way from Cornwall, so I'm very pleased that we're now sealing this shut so we can see the piece as it has been designed and intended. So just seal that down there. That's lovely. So now I can add the journaling card as it was intended to be. And that's a wonderful find because that had some very nice Edith Holden papers. And there we go. And that just reminds me of a weighted pendulum from a cuckoo clock. I think that's brilliant. Okay, I've run out of thread, so I am delving into my own. I'm just going to use my bookbinder's twine here because I have got some other things that I could sew in, but I've also got another journal to make, so I'm mindful that I don't want to use up everything. So I'm just going to use a wax thread here because I just want to get this journal done, and if I wait any longer, it'll just sit around and other projects will pile up. So we need to get this done. It's always a triumphant moment to be tying off the last of the strings in your signature. So this is the final thing, which means that this journal is done. And there we go, but she is done. Oh my goodness. So that has worked out there. That can come over. I can trim that. I can cut it away if we don't need it. It's just a little bit of extra sort of security, really, if I want to tether anything in on the front. I can be able to embellish the edges to make those all look nice, and then we can have this lovely idea for the pocket to go there eventually. So this will work out, but it's not decorated, but this one was, and then I've got the option to put something in there. So each signature is looking great. It's all coming together, actually lying really nice and flat in this soft cover. Plenty of space there. I wanted to leave a bigger space there because I've got that embellished piece on that door knocker. And then right at the back here as well, we can get into these pockets. That's super. And then coming around again, we'll be able to get into the pockets there. So I'm going to leave that there as a good idea. And I thought I'd open my first envelope from my swap partner Louise, who has very kindly gifted me this stack of altered envelopes for our November project to be opened throughout December. I'm going to open it now, and she has wrapped me up a little parcel. And once all the little parcels have been taken out, the envelopes will become nice and flat, as you can see that's happening. And it will be able to join the journal, although this will go into the second part of the journal where I'm having autumn, fall and my festive bit at the end, so that will go in there. Some beautiful gold ribbon, so that's absolutely super exciting straight away because I can use that. What we've got here, nice washi tape. It's got letters on it, so I'm going to save everything. Oh, look at that. Oh, wow. Get that one. Oh, I've ripped it. Oh, well. There we go. We've kept most of it. Oh, that is beautiful. Little journaling card. It's quite thick, so that's really nice. Inspire. Oh, isn't that fun? Oh, I like that. Oh, wow. That's great. What does this say? Jingle all the way. Yes. That's lovely. And then she sent me a little ticket pocket. Oh, my goodness. You really have done some extra things here over and above what was expected. You didn't need to do all of this. Look at this. Tickets. Oh, these are fun to come and play with. Isn't that sweet? A little tab pocket. I like that. That's gorgeous. Gorgeous. And then some pretty little stickers to play with. Super, super duper. So that's really lovely. Nice little things. Quite a nice little card. Even come and live in the front there for the moment, and we'll see how we get on with it like that. That's great. So those are all going to be added into the journal. And here we have the junk journal project so far. So 4 signatures all bound in. And we've got a closure here now, which has been made out of twine because that is all I had. So pushing it down, I can just unhook that. And that's the lovely filigree button from Jeanette there, which I was quite drawn to earlier. I've managed to get everything in here. I'm also going to put that there eventually, or something will go there to become another pocket. And then this is how this was constructed at the back. So it's 2 little eyelets, and then I threaded that through to make a loop, and I've tied it in a knot there so it goes under the lace. So we've got that at the back, and then I've glued this all down, and this is where we're at the moment. And when I'm ready to use the journal, I'll be able to slot a label in there. I've added this journaling card here that I've received, and that's sitting nicely. But what I wanted to do was just see if I've got anything to decorate these strings. So I'm going to close the journal up with them there like that, and then I'm bringing in all the little pieces that I've been sent over the last 8-9 months. Okay, so having a look, I'm going to take one of these and put that on the spine of the journal, and then I've got another one for my second journal. I'm also going to take some charms. So I've been given these lovely charms. I've got a smaller butterfly there, but I think I'm going to take these 2 because that's very similar to my logo. But let's have a look and see if we can thread this through and how I can attach that on, whether I could just tie that on and do something, and then this one will go on here. Okay, I've got this, but I've got these frayed pieces here, so I want to see if I can tidy them up a little bit. And what I have been sent from Joanna is this strip of ribbon, which is the sort of thing like a floristry ribbon that you can put around things and it stays in place. It stays in place because it's got a little bit of wire in it. And I'm just wondering whether I can extract the wire. Okay, I've managed to get the wire out of one side, not so much out of the other, so that is fine. And we'll see if I can now use this. Just binding that in there and making a feature out of this otherwise unknown scrap of wire. And then I'll be able to use this as a nice piece of fabric without the wire in it. There we go, and then I just close that back up, and then we can have a look at those. And there we go. So we've got a closure, we've got our charms, we've got all the embellished pieces on there, looking really fun. And then all I need to do is now put this on there, and we can say that the project is done. Far from done really, but done in the sense that it's ready to be used and embellished. So I've just got to now take my awl and put a hole in the centre. So let's have it probably here, and then if we have a dangle that can come down here, so maybe a bit more at the top really. Let's just check that we got it coming through okay, and then we just put this through and say thank you very much to Pat who sent me this. There we go. And then I'm just going to glue on this little seam binding here. And tuck that under. And then we don't need to see the inner workings of that. Okay, so that is all there in position, looking really fun. Then I've got to work on this first winter part of the journal. And other than that, we'll just add in this paper clip and maybe this little scrap of lace, and these are things that we'll be putting into the journal as we go. And there we have my final piece all ready for the start of January, so that I can start adding in more embellishments, more wonderful things from people that send them to me. I can document my life, and it is a personal little challenge there completed, using only the scraps and only the wonderful things that I've been sent from the fabulous swap partners around the UK this year. And that is a wonderful example of how you can use your things that may be otherwise cluttering up your craft room. There really isn't anything here that you couldn't make. We've shown you how to do it. If you have Facebook and you'd like to join the Treasured Page FB group, you'll see that there's a private group there, and we are all swapping pictures of the makes of the journals and all the things that we are finding and swapping. The swaps are international. We have swaps in America, Canada, there are swaps going on in South Africa and the UK at the moment. I have 3 spots available over in Canada. If you'd like to head on to the Facebook page, the link is below, and you can request to join and I can add you in, and that will be quite fun. We're going to be making the next project throughout this month, and we'll be sending it out for the first week of January, and that will come and live in my journal when I receive mine. We're currently making a hanging booklet that goes over the page, so if you'd like to have a look at the projects, do have a look on YouTube and have a look in my playlist for Build a Journal 2024, and you will see all the projects to date and be able to catch up or have a go if you so wish, just using things that you find around your home. And all you need to do to start off a journal such as this is to find some papers, maybe stain them with coffee or tea to give them an interesting rich character that you would be able to add to a journal, and then you've just got to sew them in. Now I've hidden my binding there, but you did see how I did it. I used the 5-hole pamphlet stitch, and again, that's a little bit fiddly. You can go for the 3-hole pamphlet stitch. And if you're new to junk journaling, you'd like to have a go and you're not sure and you want to work out how to bind a journal, I've got videos on my playlist. Have a look at my journal making section and you'll be able to follow along in step-by-step free tutorials, and you'll be able to help make your own junk journal. So thank you so much for joining me at the Treasured Page. My name's Melanie. Do please like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss my future videos, but above everything else, just slow down and make crafting time for you. Bye bye now.